Welcome to Trading Lounge and the Bitcoin report for Wednesday, March 23. So we've been looking at two bullish counts and one bearish count. This is the bearish count here, and we were looking at this particular pattern in this area here as a triangle pattern for wave 4. And yesterday it took out that little high here, which basically negated the little triangle pattern that we were looking at with this market. It's still possible, I guess, for it to be a triangle. We would just need to expand it up a little bit further. In that case, it would end up being something like a bit more complicated sort of thing like this, you know. But in the meantime, if we get support on 43,000, which is the top of minor group 1 of 4,000, so that 43,000, if we get a tested support on that level as a classic trading levels pattern, if this is the 43,000 across here, we get the arrival, the reaction, the first high above the level, the ABC pattern, then we get support over here for that. Well, then that's going to negate this particular wave 4 pattern here at that point. So that's sort of, you know, we put all the Elliott counts on the table and then we just start eliminating them one by one. So it's looking like this wave 4 here is not the place. The other thing that I need to point out too is that the Bitcoin has been moving in line with other assets such as equities. So we haven't confirmed yet that, I mean, equities have been going up, but in a way, just to give you a little brief here, from the low with equities, we're looking for a 5-wave move to the upside as a C wave of wave B here. And currently we're in this little wave 4 area here, so we've still got a little bit more to help confirm that. But even once we reach the top with the equities, we still need to get an ABC pattern back. And when we take that top out here, if we take that second high out as a B wave there, then we'll know that you know, we know that we've got a bullish market in terms of the S&P 500 and all the NASI stocks and so on and so on. But otherwise, we can just continue lower from that. So until this move up through here on the equities actually finishes, and then we can try to confirm one way or another through the next pullback if it's going to be bearish or bullish. So once we get this confirmed over here for the other assets, then that's also going to help us with this as well, because this could still just continue to go sideways for a while until this is topped out here, and then they all they all move down together at that point. So yeah, so a couple of things here, just to repeat this again. 43,000 with a classic trading levels pattern on it would give it a bullish bias to the upside, and we'll take a closer look at that. The equities topping out and then us confirming that we're in a bullish market also would be helpful, because we know that they've been moving together. Not that they always have been moving together, but when they are moving together, we kind of, well, acknowledge that, and we can use that. So as far as this goes, we were looking at, I'm going to go to the intraday for this particular chart and just go back over this a little bit again here, so we've got some idea of what we're looking at. So we were looking at it in a triangle pattern of an A, B, C, D, and A, B, C here for the E wave. So what I was doing is counting 5 waves up here. So wave 1 is good, wave 2 is good, and I'm just basically ignoring the spike there because it came back and sat back in the downward channel here again, and looking at this as 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 for the third wave. It does make a really nice 4th wave here. It's not very complicated, but you know, it looks complicated compared to a normal wave 2. So we've got 1 and 2 here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the third wave, 4th wave, and 5th wave. So this would have made the top of C, of E, of 4 there. So taking that top out there negates that count. Now, as I mentioned, I could look at a bigger picture with all of this. It's still in this triangle pattern here, but I think that this is good enough for the time being. And this is the 43,000 here as well. So, the other point too that I keep harping on about really is this high here, this low here, this high. When one of these gets breached here, then we'll be going in that direction. So then we've got this one here and this one here, but do we really count that one, and do we count that one? Are they inside this one? Do we need to sort of worry about that too much, or do we need this one to break? Not so much importance on that one, but all the same, it has taken that move out there, and that is 3 waves up there, or we could look at it as 3 waves. You could probably get 5 waves out of it if you want to squeeze the 5th wave into this last bit here, which is doable. So getting a classic trading levels pattern here, just going back over this picture here, so we have the arrival, the reaction, we have that already. That's what we're going through now. So we need that first high above the level, and then the ABC correction, and then we need to go back up here again. So I'll just draw that out here. So we've got the arrival at this point, so we'll need the first high above the level, and then we'll need an ABC correction at that point. So that would probably put, if I can just take a bit of a guess here, that would be, I'll just take that to the 500 there, that would be about right. That would leave the 61.8% just below the level here, which would be about right. And then we could also label this here now. Well, I won't label, I'll just show it to you as wave 1 here, 2 here, 3 here, and ABC for the 4th here, and then the 5th wave here, and then the ABC. Of course, we could also look at, looks like impulsive here, so it could be 1 and 2 here, and then, an ABC here for 2, and then just go 1 and just keep building up. Whatever, but the thing is getting that support on top of that level there is the thing, This can just come back and retest that and then fail from that point, of course. But taking that second high out would also trigger the long trade at that point. Because getting support on top of group 1 would separate the market being pulled back to this number, because it's the job of group 1 here, 1, 2 and 3, to hold the market to the 40,000, and if it breaks free from that, then it pushes up to 5 at that point. And then group 2 below here, 65, 72 and 80, they're the ones that support it to that number. So breaking out of this at this point within the structure would give us the breakout that we're looking for within all of that. So that's the triangle pattern that we were following, and now that's been breached, and I thought that needs to be sort of talked about again. And secondly, we can look at the next pattern. I think we were looking at 2 sort of bullish patterns. One is the triangle pattern here, and there's a really good case for this pattern here because, there's a lot of confusion with what some of these legs are in here. Are they 3 waves? Are they 5 waves? And this and that. So, so it would suit quite nicely as part of a D wave here, because a triangle is a 5-wave structure of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but each leg has got 3 waves in it. So this is also being questionable here, this sharp sell-off here of how that should be counted. Different Elliott people have got it in different ways. So anyway, we're above the 40,000, so if we get support on 43, that gives us just one more step up the ladder to move up, because support on 43 will push us to 45 at that stage, and that will bring us in as the old highs here. So this particular triangle pattern here, I think I've got that on the tick chart as well. Bring in a bit more data. Okay. So you could probably look at this in different ways, but basically a W and an X and a Y here going up in 3 waves at this point. So this just takes us a little bit higher. The 50% is up at the 50,000 roughly. So that's where we'd be heading for. And then once we've got wave D in here, then we'll be pulling back for wave E at that point. and that would be part of that larger triangle pattern. So I don't really need to say a lot about this, but it's just the same principle again. If we're going to be bullish here, then we need to have support on that 43. So I would only turn bearish now. I would only turn bearish in this structure if the 42 became the retested resistance. So we would need something nice and clean like this. So a market that drops, if that's the 42,000, if it drops through there, that's not resistance. It's only resistance when it goes and retests it and then makes a new low below here. Then I could say that's been retested and we're on our way further to the downside. But quite often it's not nice and clean like this. We normally get one move back above the level. So it's normally when we break through the level like this, it's normally we come back above the level like that, and then we've got to repeat the same situation down. But we are left with that low and the second low, and if they're breached, then that price point's been retested, and that would give a bearish bias at that point. So just in the takeaway of this, it's okay for the market to come down into the 40, and quite often it comes down to the midpoint of between 41 and 42. So 41,500 is kind of a bit of a normal thing when it pops down, and of course the 41,800 is another number there, but yeah, so it can drop below, but it doesn't mean it's resistance. Okay, so I need to clarify that. Yeah, and as it stands today, if we get a classic trading levels pattern on that 43,000, then we're there to the upside. So the last pattern we got, which is also bullish as well, that's so kind of an original count that we've had as a running flat. It doesn't make a very good case for this in terms of all of this pattern here. But still, we can look at this move down here as a 5-wave move. We can look at this move here as 3 waves to the upside, and we can look at this as 5 waves to the downside. So we can look at it as an A and a B and a C wave to that particular point there. So it does make a reasonable case at that point. It's not a strong case, I grant you that. But yeah. So just drilling in here a little bit further on this on the intraday. I think I've got it on 5K ticks here. Just going back a little bit. Let's just bring in a bit more data on that. So we can look at it as wave 1 here with an A and a B and a C wave. Now, I know it's a little bit unusual and it's a bit of a long shot, and I'm saying that, you know. And then even this wave 1 up here is a bit of a long shot because the 5th wave is a bit small compared to wave 1 here. This makes an okay A, B and C for wave 2 here, I have to say, and it doesn't breach the low here. But look, the whole thing doesn't really have the right look and feel about it, you know, and the perspective is an important aspect of when you're working with Elliott. It's just that, you know, when I'm working with things, I always find the closest, largest number. And if I'm above that, well, then I'll be looking for long trades. And if I'm below that, I'll be looking for short trades. But we don't really go long, and you know, I would have gone long here a lot earlier if this move here was a really nice, clean, nothing else but a 5-wave move, and this was nothing else than a 3-wave move, and so on, you know. But all I can say with this is that that we need a classic trading levels pattern to make this a bullish move now. We can look at this here as 1 and 2 and 3 here, and ABC for the 4th here, maybe, and up for the 5 here. We need that first high above the level. That's what we need to see next to be bullish at that point, and then you can bring it down to the second level, and if that's breached, then that means that we're leaving the 40,000 at that point, and straight away we'll be pulled up to the next level, which is 5. I mean, 44 is important, but 45 is the next number that we're looking at, and the market will move quite quickly. But once that gets support in this little this space over here, it'll move quite quickly to the 45 at that point. So that's really it. So our next step really is just to see if we get a nice classic trading levels pattern on top of the 43 there. And we don't really want to see the market come down any further than the 41,500. And if the 42 becomes the retested resistance, well, then we're going to be looking at a bearish pattern, and it means that we may need to include this spike here in some particular structure. But the reason I haven't done that, the other reason I haven't done that for as well, is because from this low here to that high there, I can already count 5 waves in that little move there. You know, so there's no need to include that there. And if I was going to include that, I'd look at it as a B wave, as an A wave here, a B wave here, and a C wave back here again. You know, that's how it would fit. But yeah. So look, the complicated story of all of this pattern snaking across the 40,000s is hasn't really changed. But we can eliminate one bearish pattern, and if we get a tested support on the 43, that gives a bit of a bias to the upside at that point. That's all I can really say about the markets at the moment for Bitcoin. And as I mentioned before, the other assets, the S&P 500, we need to confirm that they're in a bullish market as well. And it's a little bit hard to confirm that. They do look bullish when you're looking at those markets, but I still need them to top and turn. The currencies and other markets suggest that that the S&P will run into problems in that sort of 4,500, 4,600 range, so which is in that range now. So they could be topping in a session or two, but even when they top, they got to turn, and then we've got to pick up the pieces to find out if we're going to be bearish or bullish with those particular patterns. So it's still going to take about a good 2 to 3 sessions before we can confirm that all the markets, all the assets are in a bullish pattern, or they've all topped out and they're all going to sort of fall back down as such. So yeah, I mean, technically, with basic technical analysis, this top here, as long as if the market takes out this top here, then it'll be bullish at that point. If it doesn't take out that top, then it still can in some way or another, because these patterns in here have eluded all the good Elliott people to a point. Well, it puts us all in the guessing game a little bit, so when we're in the guessing game, all I do is I just say, well, look, I don't know what it is, but let's just allow the pattern to unfold, mature to a certain point where we can see, or we do understand something or other that we can use, that's going to be concrete kind of evidence. So obviously this top or this bottom would be that in this case, but getting support on the 43, I know that just gives me a little edge on the way through, because I know a bit about the price, how that works. Alrighty, I'll leave it all at that. Let's see what occurs. Cheers.